We are into the action, though. It is going to be Mirage. This one should be a barrel of laughs. Take it away, boys.
Cheers, Jackie. And of course, I love how it is X-Wind and Rain, which technically it is considering, and a few lineup changes going into this. So we'll have to hope for the best and see if Endpoint can continue where they left off. Another great start going into this first map.
Yeah, so the pistol that Endpoint actually just ran here was the Team Liquid pistol, which is very famous among UK pugs. Everybody likes to know it because it's very simple. Smoke connector, flash out, you get jungle control like they've done here. But Wind and Rain, they're playing retake and they've already got the frag advantage. So this is getting a bit dodgy for them here.
That's right, and Jenko, sadly for him, does get taken down by Thomas as he was trying to go through window, but Fry now gets taken as well down by Thomas, but sadly for Wind and Rain, excuse me, do get taken down here. So great pistol run by Endpoint there, and it's like you mentioned, was looking a little bit sloppy to begin with, but going to make things happen here. I think Jackie was talking earlier about Thomas's fragging abilities to, you know, step up straight off the bat, and he's obviously listened to the stream and heard Jackie say that in the end with a nice little 3K in that pistol round.
Yeah, he's very impressed with his eco ability in the sense that he loves going for these eco frags. He gets the Mach 10 out. We're going to see him run and gun when he gets the opportunity with that gun. Because I think it was on Monday we saw the ESL UK picture with him on front of Thomas's tank.
Yeah, I did.
Fantastic. And he'll probably be looking to do the same this map as well.
That's right. Shout out to our social team for getting that done so quickly. I think I remember seeing that image and I was literally just crying for him. I didn't know what to say, to be fair. I just looked and I was just like, okay, that's fair enough. It's Thomas tank engine, like, you know. I did get the joke, lucky enough, and I'm normally one of the most gullible people ever, or I just won't get a joke if it slapped me in the face. So it's normally one of those two things. But Robin, with that flying Mach 10 straight on Hector's there.
Bit of a slap in the face, I suppose.
Yeah, that was pretty much, yeah. Didn't muck around there. Just wanted to get straight in, get stuck in, which is fair enough. And for Wind and Rain now, it's, of course, not looking too great. Frying Rezex trying to hold things down if they can. Robin is going to stop that from happening. Does get a fair amount of damage done on Rezex, only on 16 HP. Managed to finish him off anyway, and Fry's the only one left standing in Palace.
Yeah, very rough situation. You've got to be thinking save at this point, but he still seems a bit invested in this.
Yeah, he seems pretty tempted, doesn't he, with that CZ and... but then again, I suppose he does save, you know, does save 500 for the CZ and 1,000 for the armor, but I can understand why you'll back off from it. It's not really worth the risk, and of course Pulse does have that AK to stand back and keep it distanced away from Fry, so it's perfectly understandable. May even get a frag here if he does get an exit to maybe bring a gun back, but even then it's only a Mach 10, and of course it won't make too much difference next round, but Fry just barely survives on 34 HP, and it looks like he will be able to get away with his little CZ. Yeah,
good option of saving. Obviously, he did have that slight chance of potentially winning that round in the sense that when he stopped that first plant and everything like that. Alas, not able to. Thomas and Robin ran the eco train, I suppose, through the map right there. Both Mach 10s come into big use. And again, it'll be the same here. Unless Fry comes up absolutely massive in some way with his CZ, because everybody else is just USPs. There's a P250 in play, but I don't see much else happening here.
Yeah, I wouldn't be too surprised, and of course Wind and Rain will be stacking, which is completely understandable considering the circumstances they're in. And Fry, like you mentioned before, he's going to have to do some serious work with that CZ, but we did see T-Sac do that on CT side of the train when he had that CZ alone, got the AK, got a second, and then managed to help close out that round. So it's definitely possible, but as you can see now, they are tempted to go for that B-execute, but one thing I do take into account, that Endpoint aren't really too fussed about info. They are quite tempted to push straight in, but it looks like they've decided to change their minds, get enough info on that A side to maybe realise that they have actually got that B side stacked in A for 3.
This is the exact same eco run as last run by Endpoint, but instead this time they've got that swarm of CTs coming up short. And you wouldn't normally say this is an easy doing for them, but it seems a bit scrappy right now. They have lost Max, but it shouldn't be anything else from that. Link should fall. There it is. That's nothing really wrong with that round. Lose one player. It's good as anything, really. And the question is, do they keep the Mach 10s, actually? Because they've kept one there on Lezo. So Robin bought his AK up, didn't he?
Yeah, yeah. So it seems like Thomas, Pulse, and Lezo still got their Mach 10s. Yeah, Max and Robin with those AKs.
this should be quite a quick round then, just to try and take advantage of the fact that you still have the smack 10s, try and catch them off. Potentially a fast B, so I think Max just threw the smoke that goes on the end of balcony here as they do this B rush right now. There should be a smoke that was landing, whether it's on the balcony, which is actually missed slightly. Well, there you go.
I'm saying nothing, mate, so I'm just going to leave it.
The intended thing was correct. But alas, it doesn't make a difference. The fast B rush, it's so hard to stop with 3 Mac 10s.
It is, yeah.
They're so fast.
That's right, that's right. With the 3 Mac 10s, of course, they're not also going to sit back mid and try and ping him off mid or anything like that at all. But we have seen some weird things in the past. But as you can see, not too surprising now. Of course, at the first buy round, Wind and Rain have been shut down massively. With Hector's and Fry, we'll try and keep that open M4 if we can, but we'll have to see if Endpoint can try and take him out and do as much economic damage as possible. Hector's does manage to take one with him in the end, but it seems pretty straightforward, and it seems like now they may possibly save those guns, but it depends if Robin does get behind them. So he does push in, sadly, does miss against Fry, but doesn't matter too bad anyway. Damage has already been done, and Endpoint with a nice little start, especially after that first buy round.
Yeah, I mean, I saw it right straight from the start. It was just the fact that they kept those Mac 10s, and you notice that sort of, normally we call it a Brucey bonus round, which
Brucey bonus.
Yeah, you keep the regular guns in, and then you just execute something really, really quickly. B on Mirage is perfect for it. We might see it again, just by the pure fact that, okay, here we go. Here, it's B execute this time. And they've kept a Mac 10 on Thomas, obviously one of his preferred weapons. And they're going straight through that molly. There's only 2 players here.
I'm surprised you know what a Brucey bonus is, because I thought with our age gap, I thought, do you know what, if I said Brucey bonus, I thought Ezo would be thinking, what the hell is he on about? Like, you know, is he just talking rubbish or whatever? But, you know, at least that phrase is still about, even at my day. Because I thought, you know, I'm the next generation, you could say. Ezio's the, you know, the generation before me, so he might have missed out on all those tasty little game shows on Saturday nights, but it seems like that way anyway. They do manage to get that bomb down, and it's going to be quite a tight one. But look at that. It seems like all of Wind and Rain are like, no, I'm not having that. Putting straight back to A side and just save for another day.
Yeah, so very, you know, respected decision in my mind. Obviously, that B-bomb site, very hard to retake. And with the smokes that were in there, every single entrance was completely blocked off. And Endpoint started off like incredibly strong here. Like 5-0, and none of the runs really, other than the pistol, I'd say, have been close. Like all of them have been quite swift in their favour.
Yeah, there's not too much mucking about. Of course, when you're in a LAN environment,
you get pumped.
And yeah, exactly. It's that. But when you're sitting next to each other as well, then one of the main things is that just being able to see each other's screens. I know, of course, you've got the radar and you can obviously see them in the screen, but when you actually see it physically, what's exactly going on, it kind of gives you that little extra bit of a comfort zone. But now, Wind and Rain with that 5 loss bonus, they really need to start doing something this round to try and stop the rampage from Endpoint after his first 5 wins.
Yeah, so it's getting to the point where some of the players have now saved 2 rounds in a row. Like Fry's saved 3 rounds already. You start feeling like you need to have an impact on the round. You start forcing plays, which are potentially unneeded. But it looks like Endpoint are just going to do the same thing that they did in those anti-eco rounds, which was 2 people through underpass, 2 top mid, 1 player towards A this time, so, you know, pulse synapse. And they're slowly going to take mid controls. Normally, they get that smoked off connector, but Hector's there to kind of mess up the round's plans. And this changes things a bit now. Endpoint have started, you know, hold on a sec, we need to redo everything here. Possibly change our end goal. Because it looks like it will definitely be A, but Hector's is already repositioning. It's just get ready and adapt.
Yeah, and of course that first pick on Robin was definitely what he needed. And as you know, Thomas had a great start. Tony gets taken down by Hector's again. It's a nice little 2K for him so far. Max managed to get one of his own here. Managed to get a second on Jenko after he took off Nick straight after. Only 11 HP, 2v3. But look at the position of Wind and Rain now. You obviously got Fry on ramp, Hector's on CT. They're in a really good spot for that crossfire and Endpoint.
Oh.
You know, they got the brains to put in. They know what's going on. They know there's a crossfire happening. But look at this now. They could get B site for free here.
Yeah, Max made the jump. And thankfully, Leza didn't go for the jump, because he would have been seen by Rezax. Thankfully, he dropped straight into underpass, and now there's a big gap in this defense. Like, Rezax has caught onto it a bit, and all the players are slowly closing in, but it might be slightly too late for this plant.
Yeah, even if they do get the bomb down, at least they got a little bit more money for that next round, but it's going to be extremely difficult. They're coming from all angles, and Fry's just trying to catch up to see what's going on. Leza does manage to take one of his own, so it's 2v2 now. Hector really needs to go off further with this AWP. He knows there could be one on bench. But sadly for him, Luzza does actually manage to take him out, which is quite convenient. And now finds the last man standing and managed to get taken down by Max at the end. Nice little 3K for him. And so far, that good starts continue. We really expected, even though it was a 2v3, Max was only on 11 HP. And from the angles Wind and Rain took, you would have thought that that might be a good round for them to get the first round on the board. But it looks like it's not to be.
Yeah, that was a phenomenal 2vx situation, really. Just by the fact that both of them knew where each other were looking. And obviously, from the positions of the map, we could see they're all closing in from every angle. But there was no trade possibility at all. It's like the side part of that. And Endpoint, they instantly know this is different. They normally didn't throw any grenades on edge. They're probably pushing. But at last, Robin's in a position where he doesn't get trade potential. You know, Luzza's so far back. And instantly, they smartly... We don't want to try and rush a trade. We don't need to. They're going to be quite poor in terms of utility, everything like that. Just slow it down again. We'll do what we did last round. We can slow it down and kind of reset. And Luzza, we talked about earlier on, he gets the AWP kill.
This is the difference between these top teams. Obviously, the playstyle differences and how they can just change things around straight off the bat from passive to aggression and how things should be done and based on information. And sadly for Robin, did get taken down straight away by Link. Of course, Link did run straight up that mid. Got the pick he wanted and came straight back. Max is just being a little bit extra cautious just due to the fact that, of course, he knows Link was around mid temporarily, but will molly mid, sorry, the window just to make sure no one is there, just to clear another angle to make sure we won't get jumped upon, but pretty straightforward so far.
Every single time there's been a smoke top connector, they have come towards A. So Wind and Rain not gambling on that instinct. But Link, you got to say he needs to get that kill, doesn't he? He needs to get at least one of them if they have a chance here. But he's left right in a situation now where he's having to play retake, but they know where he is. It's good spam.
Nah, that's good spam, but definitely. Of course, Hector's managed to get the second one straight off the bat. And that's the thing as well, it's the fact that in these kind of situations, you're right, with Hector's on that CT, he's all on his own, and the only thing he could do was to delay things as much as possible. And what did he do to delay things even further? Take out the bomb guy straight away. So, on that firebox. So, on that trip stack, he managed to get that crucial kill to delay that bomb plant. But the question is, can they get this retake? You've got Max and Pulse now. Last man standing, and as you can see, Pulse is on that ramp with eyes on the bomb, and managed to get one on his own, and Hector's again the last man standing, just trying to see if he can do anything from this, but Pulse just comes straight out, guns blazing, not mucking about here. And yeah, again, continuing things on 7-0, not to be expected, but there's been a couple of rounds where you would have thought Wind and Rain could have maybe clawed that round back a little bit, you know, but it seems like it's not to be.
Yeah, the last two rounds they've had that opening pick, and they've sadly not been able to stabilise from that point, have they? And honestly, Endpoint have looked phenomenal in these 2vx situations. That chemistry, they know what each other are doing, they know what angles they're looking at, and they know when they want each other to peak. Which, you know, you compare it to Wind and Rain right now, they're playing with two stand-ins who they've probably not played with as a 5 right now, and it's beginning to show a bit. You know, these situations, there's no chemistry, there's nothing.
Well, this is it. It's like when you've got a new lineup, or we could say, or standards. I would say it's just a new lineup for the time being. You have that honeymoon period, so either there's two sides to the coin on that. It's either one, they'll play amazingly well and go absolutely crazy, or there's the other hand, which is what we're kind of seeing now between Wind and Rain, where it's going absolutely topsy-turvy at the moment. And of course, Luzza winning that AWP battle against Hector's for mids. It's really changed things up, because actually Hector's is actually the main guy who's kind of kept him in it a little bit in some of these rounds, but never managed to close things out. But look at this, a nice little 3B site here. And Wind and Rain have got to decide whether they do want to risk going for this retake, but I wouldn't be surprised if they did sit back on this. But they'd only have a bunch of CZs, so not really losing out too much on a couple of Cavaliers and CZs.
I think what I like about this round so far that played out is just about that. Look at Endpoint's utility. They've down to a single HE, flash, and a molly. It means they've used up all of those previous grenades just to make sure they get all of the map control needed, all clear out everything, and just make use of it. Like, we've got so much money, try and make use of it. Make sure you clear every angle, use all your utility that is needed. And honestly, they're looking incredibly well drilled right now. We're 8-0, and they're looking in a fantastic position. However, in the past, we have always wondered, what is their CT like? So, you know, that's always on the agenda. We always have to question that, just in case. Well, the T-side's never been the issue.
Well, this is the problem. If it's 15-0, like we saw in that final map of the last game, but he won't have much of a CT side to even to even begin with. But as you can see so far, 8-0 in favour of Endpoint, looking very strong. And we spoke about it before where Mirage is very good for those structured teams. And Endpoint are seriously capitalising on that. And I think lucky for them, I think when they saw Inferno was that third map, I think they thought to themselves, right, guys, let's just, let's just end this 2-0. We don't want any, mucking about. We don't want to get done in on that third map, considering the last time they played London Lynx. That might have been a little bit of a iffy one, I think, yeah. So, and no, they weren't, I don't think there was a full lineup at the time. I could be completely wrong. But Lazar doing fantastic with that AWP so far all game. And seems like now Sally doesn't get that first pick going to B site, but it would be Molly and short.
Yeah, I'm not too sure if they knew that Max was that far up. I mean, the strat was fantastic from them to try and get that pick with Lazar. And it was coincidentally that Hector's was also going for the same pick. But it's like the big thing I think would be Hector's and Rezex have both got AWPs now. It's got to that point where you're thinking, we need to switch this up majorly, try and get more impact across the map. Both imports, in fact, us picking one up each, thinking we need to do something. And thus far, they haven't really done too much this game, have they?
No, not too much, no. Hector's has been doing quite well with the AWP, but one man can only do so much. And I think Rezex with that double AWP play now, I think it's going to really help him to try and get that first round on the board. Only Max and Luz are left, but they're going to try and make a go of it anyway. Because Fry and Rezex are still on the A site, but you never know what could happen, which is completely understandable. And Hector does get another one, and Jenko, nice little play from him as well. So I think that was definitely the right play. Maybe having that double AWP set up definitely helped things get that first round on the board. Is it too late? No, I wouldn't think so far. We know how T-sided this map can be, depending on what kind of team you play against. It will work in favour of Endpoint, of course, due to their lineup and their practice regiment, being a LAN environment on top of that in the Endpoint team house. So I'm pretty sure, yeah, they'll be happy. They'll be okay with it so far with 8-1.
Yeah, so as soon as they see that double AWP come into play, they decide we're going to do a bit more of an orchestrated sort of style play here. They've got some A-smokes lined up, but unfortunately Pulse dropping that early, it kind of puts a halt to that question mark they're holding on it, just like, okay, give it a second. We can't. Pulse is the normal player that goes abs, so they'll think of that and be like, okay, that's normal. But this A-smokes is huge right now. It depends, can they catch out Fry, who's the lone player really? Everybody else can be shrouded away. That's
right, and of course CT stairs.
They're playing to fight.
And Jungle will get smoked. It will be coming straight in. You're right here, and Resit sadly doesn't get open picking away, but Thomas managed to take out Fry. Very crucial. Resit does get one of his own, but Max managed to get that vital trade off, and now it's going to be that retake game. But the only problem is CT's not been smoked. Could be
Hector's
got a big thing here. Yeah, Hector's didn't do too bad there, and of course we spoke about him before, where we said he managed to get those picks on site when the openings, and sadly didn't get those rounds closed out. But I think now Rezex with that AWP as well, it's really, really helped things and turned things around now.
Yeah, it's just bringing that impact across the board, because obviously they're not quite, they're not controlling any of the map right now. They're losing mid control, and even towards A at times they haven't quite got anything there. Both AWPers are being able to do what they want, because nobody's going to be like, no, you can't do that. They're a standard now. It's like, I'm going to do this. They're like, fair enough, yeah, go on then. Try it.
And they did, and to be fair, it worked out really, didn't it? Yeah, that's the thing with Wind and Rain so far. A lot of these rounds, even though they've only taken 2, they had that first initial pick, but Endpoint will sit back and go, well, hold on a sec, lads. Let's rethink this. Let's decide what we should do. We've got plenty of time, because those first picks were very early. But of course, that last round, Rezex getting that first pick on Palace really helped him out. And of course, when he killed Lazar as he was coming out from ramp,
that was a big kill.
To close out the rounds, yeah.
Because it is becoming a bit of an AWP battle at this point as well.
Yeah, we haven't really seen too many. We've only seen one in mid, where Lazar did win, but of course, so many angles to check on that ramp. It's going to be very hard for him to try to get anything going. But he's going to give it another bash from Palace and see if he can find anything. See if he can find anything from stairs or jungle. I think he may have saw a glimpse of someone. Yeah, he's hoping to see if he can get that first kill on the board to hopefully open up that A site. And as you can see, like you mentioned before, they're going for that connector push. But Hector's now does get that first pick, and Max does take out Fry.
Yeah, it's a good pick to get across the A site, but they know Link's been playing close towards this connector sort of area pretty much every round. And previously he needed to win the fights, and he only gets the 1 this time. Like, it's fantastic as a trade, but they need more than that right now.
Yeah, I think Link's realised that they've been playing 2 at connector most of these rounds, and of course his spray's been good, but sadly misses those vital headshots to go for that second kill. But as you can see,
No time.
No time at all, and Max will probably either try and get a cheeky AWP if he can and try and get away with it, but sadly for him, as time would tell, time luck was there, not in his favour. As soon as he picks up the AWP, sadly for him, he does get taken down. And I think he knew that in terms of noise and sound and those audio cues.
Yeah, it was just after round ended too. He got no round loss bonus for that either. Thankfully, he did have like $6,000, so he dropped an AK, and being the very support player he is, he goes for a UMP and grenades.
So, ain't it? Yeah, the bank of Max. But at least he's got full utility. I think that's one of the main things anyway. And I think in this kind of situation, you'd rather full utility if you're going to go for this A push, but we'll have to see how it goes. It looks like...
Yeah, it's going to be an A-smoke sort of play, but both AWPers are mid and B this time. So in the past, it's always been one CT. See, Robin's lined up the molly for under. Even if it's smoked out, you can use this lineup and just go all the way into the corner and just throw it, no matter what it'll land in. But the AWPers aren't influencing this side of the map right now. They kind of need to go and try to take advantage of that.
Yeah, they seem to be doing a lot better entering that B site, and it's quite strange how things have turned out, but it looks like they're going to go for it anyway. Pulse does go straight in, but Fry does manage to catch Thomas off guard, but Robin does get that trade again. Hector's going to get one of his own.
Good kill.
And it's another situation now. Jenko and Rezex is the last people standing, and doing a bit of a tough retake now, but what they don't know is the fact that Rezex now is in Palace, and of course Palace is a fantastic spot to be in if he was on that T side, but sadly for him it's going to be quite a difficult one. Jenko now is going to try to get that nade off, does do some damage, but Max is left on 45 HP. Rezex, of course, went Palace just in case someone on T is hiding there, but does manage to take it for himself. Jenko does get one, but Pulse, that crucial 2 kills to close things out, and now it's 9-3, and it's first round they've taken in a while, I think, isn't it?
Yeah, it's 2 rounds in a row where they had quite a few people alive as well, to be fair to them. But the money, because they've had this double AWP investment, it's not great though. You see, Fry's have to go UMP, they've got not many grenades across the board, and Endpoint on the C side, you're not too bothered about that, just because you know they will waste quite a few of their grenades just from the start of the round, whether it's smoking ramp, smoking B, or flashing over mid or something just for picks. But because of how, I wouldn't say afraid, but you know, they're kind of tempered by the fact that they've been losing mid control, they need to keep putting something towards it. And they're just letting Thomas run out with the Mac 10. They know the money's a bit dodgy. Look how many people have been pulled over though. There's 4 players on that map who would come all the way towards it.
Fry does manage to take him off guard anyway. Robin does take out Link. Jenko he's trying to find another one of his own, but they're going to know he's on that CT side. There's 2 of them there just waiting. Jenko and Fry so far, with Hector's now still on CT with him, but Rezex managed to hold things down a little bit more. Maybe getting a little bit of an inkling that they could be trying to go for that B execute, but it seems like they do read him a little bit, have enough info. As you can see now, Jenko and Hector's are going to stay on that CT just in case. They do come out on site, but it looks like Endpoint will be going for that B execute, and that rotate will be happening.
A very unfortunate time for Rezex there, but Pulse and Max, we've seen them win 2x in the past. And if there's any players who've been landing every shot that they've been given, it's going to be them 2. Pulse especially, he was on 10 HP in that battle. Yeah,
now he's 2.
But what matters is he got the kill.
That is the main thing.
He's had a lot of influence this game, to be fair to him. This is where he needs to make it count though. 2v1, has an AWP, has a kit. And both players, technically one shot for him if he uses the AWP. But the time is slowly going away. He has to be thinking, I might have to save here. And he's pulling away a bit. Yeah, he's going to be saving.
Yeah, I don't blame him. I think he was doing some pop shots just to maybe try and get their, not just get their attention, but maybe try and get that peak. But as you know, Max and Pulse, they've got so much discipline on their T side, and with the bomb down, they're not going to fall for any of that kind of play. Hector's, of course, will be saving that ult for that next round. It's going to be 10-3 now for Endpoint. I think Endpoint would have been happy with the 9 rounds anyway on T side, but they're just adding insult to injuries so far.
Yeah, Pulse did actually drop at the end of that round. He wasn't too far away from the bomb. Sadly, with only 2 health, it is quite difficult to get far enough away.
Yeah, we did say some great things about him, didn't we?
Yeah. Then he gets hit by the bomb. Not too much, though. Not too much of a worry. This looks like it might be just try and hit them off guard, essentially. Maybe go for that fast B strat, which is what it looks like they're going to be doing. That fast B strat we saw, I think it was the 5th round. And it was phenomenal. They had to save with the 4 players alive. And it looks like they're going to try and do it again. And Hector's is here with his AWP. He's been blocked.
Oh no, that's like one of those things you just did not want it to happen, did you? But we'll have to see what happens anyway. Resit does manage to kill one anyway, gets traded by Thomas. Pulse managed to take out Hector's, which is probably a few arguments probably now, a bit of tilting coming in.
Potentially, it's just the fact that we could see on Hector's POV, he was not blind in any way, but Rezex was completely blind, blocking him. It's like, okay, I can't move.
To be fair, I think I have to say a shout out to the observers to actually catch that, because it's one of those comic moments where you just look and just be like, yeah, you just shouldn't have done that. Throw the smoke at him as well on top of that. I was just like, yeah, this ain't going to go down too well. Of course, Endpoint will be taking this round. Fry will be saving that Ump and a Kevlar, Link with a CZ in the armor, but yeah, I think that one round is probably going to tilt them to the 12th win. That 12th round win, you could say, but we never know. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, I think a lot of it is just the money right now. You've got maximum 33.50. There's going to be no AWP influence, which is where Hector's has, got involved, really. He hasn't really done anything with a rifle, an SMG, or anything like that. It's always been the sniper. And even with Rezex, his was mostly the AWP as well. Like, Link's not had a fantastic game. Jenko's not had a fantastic game. Fry's been getting kills here and there, but they've been arguably non-influential kills. Like, there've been a lot of save kills.
It's like meh frags.
And trades, kills where he just gets traded immediately, which, as we all know, favours the T side anyway.
That's right. We haven't got too much utility to play with this time for Wind and Rain, so the 12th round could be possible depending on how they're going to approach this. You said this before, where they've been struggling with that mid control. But playing on window constantly, I suppose. Like maybe if they did a peek on short, but I know obviously they can smoke off the short B from the spawn, which is obviously quite common, which is quite understandable. But we have seen some weird plays where some of them will come from underpass and try and take him out after a minute into the game to maybe try and, like I said before, catch him off guard.
So this is going to be a very composed push from Pulse. Doesn't quite hold on to it. But it's the same default that they've been doing since that first anti-eco round, where normally they smoke off connector, they would normally go towards A. But with Pulse dying, though, it changes things a bit. It means we don't have that deep info on A. We're going to have to go towards B. And Rezex has actually got what we call the Bruce, in fact. The
bonus.
The auto shotgun is the Bruce, and unfortunately he doesn't get a chance to use it. But Jenko is still on this site, and he could potentially influence the round. One kill starts it, but unfortunately Robin does not want this round to go the other way. Yeah,
it's possible that the price won't be right for this team, and as you can see with Link now, he is the last man standing to try and make this comeback. He will be going through B-apps to see if he can find anything going, but it's going to be quite a difficult one. But we see some weirder things in the past. I think every game I've cast with you has been a bit of a weird one, so it wouldn't surprise me in the slightest. But with Lazar sitting back with that AWP, and Max, as usual, playing out of his mind, Lazar get that nice pick. So 12-3 now in that first half, won by Endpoint. It's going to be quite an iffy one, because if Endpoint do win that pistol round, it could go to 15-3, and they might say see you later.
Yeah, I mean, it now comes to that question mark of that CT, doesn't it? Like, I mentioned at the start, we always question that CT side, especially after that London Lynx game we did before.
Oh yeah, even
we know how the CT can be. We know how the CT can be. It does, even though it's different, but you still cross the, I wouldn't say chemistry, but the rotational movements, everything like that. It still comes across from different maps. So the question is, will Wind and Rain have anything on their T side as well there? There's a, we mentioned the two stand-ins, and I believe Rezex would be IGLing from them. So it makes you wonder, do they have anything? Like, will it be a very regular pistol, like a B-rush or something?
Yeah, it's going to be questionable. Obviously, that B-rush is quite common in this, but we'll have to see if Endpoint can manage to hold them off guard. But 12-3, it's a huge deficit. Maybe if only had 9 or 10 rounds, it would have been okay. But even if Wind and Rain does take this pistol round, it will be 12-6. And maybe if they take that first buy round, maybe up to 12-8, potentially. But even then, it's still a bit of a tall order. But if they do get that pistol round to 12-6, maybe push that first buy round to 12-8, then maybe Endpoint will feel a little bit of the pressure. Like you just said before, their CT side on a couple of maps isn't the greatest. But if they do take that pistol round in this second half, then everything we've just said just gone out the window pretty much.
Yeah, this is quite a peculiar round. So Leslie spotted like 3 or 4 of them just running out top mid. And he's come up with a bit of a spot of bother. Yeah. Has to retreat fully. And Endpoint have been quite wacky with some of their pistols this season, especially where, for example, they had 4 players in pit on Inferno. And this time they had 3 players B, and I mean, it's working out for them thus far. Aleza probably going to get the second one here too. Not quite. Putting that to 4 HP.
Yeah, sadly for them, that everything we just spoke about for the last 3 or 4 minutes was completely pointless, which is a shame. We won't get those 3 or 4 minutes back now, which is a bit dire. But looking at the KDs, we haven't actually spoke about it so far, but as you can see, there's not really too much to talk about. Everyone's been playing quite evenly on that endpoint side, a few 13 and 9s, 12 and 9s, 10 and 7s. And again, for Wind and Rain, the same but the negative effects, but all quite similar. No one's really had a really bad game, but no one's had a really good game either. It just shows the consistency from Endpoint. Everyone's pulling their weight and everyone's done a fantastic job. Just managed to crack on open those sites, but we'll have to see, like I said, with this CT, but it might already be over depending on how this next couple of rounds goes off that pistol round.
Yeah, it's one of the crazy things about this Endpoint lineup where everybody's so consistent at a certain level that you can assume they're all going to get about 16, 17 kills definitely on average per game. And all it takes one player to play just a bit better where they get up to that 22 mark, around that. And you're already pushing yourself at an average of about 10 rounds just off the regular stuff, like no matter what. Like right now we've got nobody playing out of their minds, but everybody's playing at their average, which is working perfectly fine for them because they're that good.
It's quite weird. It's very rare you see this as well. Like, normally you see at least one person, like at least kind of like shining a little bit. But seeing it now that everyone's pulling their weight, it's extremely rare, but it just shows how well coordinated. And normally when you see someone with stat lines very similar, it's more due to the fact that their communication, their small talk's very, listen to everything that's been done, they're going through everything that should be done. And normally when someone shines, it's normally due to the fact that they're doing some clutch rounds or maybe some decent 1v2s, 1v3s and bits and pieces like that. But we haven't really had anything like that at all, have we? But of course, Thomas with that nice little finish on that last bit. It's kind of knocking on death's door at the moment for this Wind and Rain squad.
And the issue is, because they forced once that round, they're now looking at another eco round unless they force in again. But their force won't be that great, and they're going for it. Like they've got 4 deagles and a scout, 2 flashes, 2 grenades, and a smoke. Like it is dire straits. It is dire straits. Yeah. That nade. Oof. What's that EQ?
Down to 12 HP, and well, he is the scouter, so I suppose.
Yeah, no armor, it does affect it, which is quite bizarre sometimes. Yeah,
that definitely was bizarre. Nice little nade by him, of course, and Hector's now also down to 13 HP. He's not going to be the greatest starts when they enter one of his sites, and they're definitely going to be loving it a little bit when they do come out, but it seems like Wind and Rain may potentially go for this B execute, but as you see here, quite an aggressive CT push here from Pulse and Lazar right now. But I think they feel like that at this kind of stage, they know that Wind and Rain don't want to take it to OT. They may have digs and stuff, and what better thing to do than to go straight in their face for the SMGs? Yeah,
it's just the fact that they feel confident. We know if they have guns, it'll probably be the Eagles because that's the best possibility. But instead, they know, we'll just play close, we'll do whatever, we'll feel confident. And they're going to be running into Thomas and Max, which both of them have been playing well this game, and Thomas does like the eco frags, and he'll probably get a nice bit of mowing down to be done if they get to the balcony.
Yeah, he's going to be loving life in a minute. As soon as when he finds out that Link's going to be poking his head out, doing a good job here. Not giving out too much info, but it doesn't matter anyway. Robin managed to take out that first one on Rezix. Thomas and Max managed to follow suit as well, and it's going to be 4v1, and of course, Hector does get taken down. I still find that in this match, but in this map as a whole, with the round difference, a little bit unexpected, but I suppose we weren't really too sure about those 2 Danish players. We know they're quite good, as you mentioned before, but it's like a honeymoon period. Either they're going to do really well, or they're going to be completely and utterly awful, and I think it's coming to that stage at the moment. But you've got to remember that this was Endpoint's map pick, so maybe on Wind and Rains, they can maybe do something completely different. We see some really weird things today, like proper weird things, but hopefully Fire, that first frag on the ball, can actually at least get this first round on the board as T-side, but not if Link's going to use a Mac 10 from that range.
Yeah, quite a surprising start to this round. It's a bit flary, I guess, the best way of putting it. Just a very aggressive CT push up nade. Fry gets that first kill and kind of throws them off, and Pulse returns a nice push. Honestly, everybody's making kind of individual plays, which at 15-3 it feels like a complacent move, which, that's, I guess it's fine. You've got lots of rounds to play with anyway. But also, you give that possibility, though, that things could spiral a bit. But not quite yet.
Not if Lazar's coming out like that with straight away the M4 on Link's face, but Jenko does manage to trade off, and it's only Pulse left, but we've seen Pulse do some pretty good things, and speaking of the Devil, does manage to take out Rezix, but just him and Jenko left now. in this 1v1 battle.
Ooh. You see both players trying to call each other's bluffs on that peak. But you know that could potentially be the start of something a bit awful if things go wrong. Like Robin is doing it $1,500. He's gonna have to go pistol unless he gets dropped something, and it's not fantastic across the board in terms of money. So he did get dropped at UMP actually. I think by I want to say Thomas, because Thomas spent 6,500. But now you wonder, like T side, I'd say a mix, just because you've got somebody IGLing who probably doesn't have a playbook for this lineup. It makes you wonder what do they actually have. It's going to be very split and pick, or let's do this. I'm going to call something right off the fly, which is so difficult to actually judge off, you know, when you haven't played with those players that much.
Yeah, that's right. It's extremely difficult, especially with a new lineup. And I was just trying to think from the top of my head any other Forsyth game shows on the top of my head, but I literally can't think of any more. I think I've run out of puns for that, sadly. But anyways, moving on, as you can see, Endpoint do have the freedom now to, you know, it's got to a point now where, you know, they've got at least 11 rounds to play with. They can do some really weird, unorthodox plays, you could say, like a bit more aggressive from their CT side. And maybe won't see it as of yet, but we have seen Thomas, who is quite deep in B-apps, to find exactly what's going on. But I think he's going to give the rest of the Endpoint guys enough information to know that that A execute is going to be happening.
Max got himself a bit of spot of bother here. Too many people's fight on every angle, and I would say this round is over. But yeah, there we go. Thomas loses the gunfight with Connector, and 15-5. I mean, this scoreline, if it starts going wrong, it catches up to you remarkably quickly. Like, some eco runs go really, really quickly, and just like, okay, 15-6, 15-7, and it was like, you start thinking the score's getting closer. It starts thinking in the back of your head, is this actually happening?
Especially on that 15th round win as well, yeah, because we spoke about it before where Endpoint were up 12-3 from that first half, and if Winning Rain won the pistol round, it would have been 12-6, win the first buy round 12-8, and then that's when Endpoint would be feeling a little bit of the pressure, but it seems like now Winning Rain have started to do it, but it could be a little bit too late, and that's like I said before, Endpoint have got so many rounds to play with, they can get away with making some quite strange, aggressive CT pushes or do something a little bit unpredictable, maybe be in some certain areas and crossfires and angles to take Winning Rain off guard. But it seems like now that Winning Rain will get a couple of rounds more on the board, and Lazar will be that last man standing. Sadly gets taken out by Rezix. So yeah, I was going to say that I wouldn't be surprised if Endpoint do take this eventually, but I've been wrong so many times in the past, I'm not even going to bother calling it.
Not fond of this buy by Endpoint there. So they had about 4,500 on average, and instead of, you know, taking it on the chin, they know if they have so many rounds, they could have saved one more. We don't have to think about their money right now. We can eco one more, get an AWP on Lazar, get full utility. Instead, they force this purchase. And here comes a B-rush where, thankfully, they over molly, but it's already been put out. Can they even hold this?
Yeah, this will be a question, of course. Fry does get those first two crucial frags on Thomas and Max. Max does manage to eventually try to get linked after getting assisted, but Lazar now's, again, the last man standing. Do you feel like maybe they're kind of forcing those M4s and utility buys without the AWP just to try and get the map over and done with?
It does feel like that at times, though. Like, when we're looking from the outside, it does feel like they're just trying to get over with. When, you know, there's no rush, is there? Like, you've got so many rounds to play with. This is where you usually have the outside factor where somebody would just say, just calm down a sec. You do have your 15-6 right now. Technically, they need to win 9 in a row. You don't need to force the issue. They're the ones that need to force the issue. They'll do something quick. You don't need to do that. And instead, we've seen them force by, and you know, the lack of utility, potentially firepower at that B side just then, it meant the rush was pretty much unstoppable.
Yeah, we have seen it in these top-tier teams where we've seen it before. I've even seen it on this map. Exactly, the fact that some teams will get that 15th round and then they have done that comeback. We've seen it a couple of times before. But you know, Endpoint will probably won't be too pressured so far, but it will get a little bit squeaky if Winning Rain, so we do get that 10th, 11th round, and then Endpoint will be like, okay, yeah, we should probably sort ourselves out about now. Yeah,
see, it only hits people when he gets that double-digit mark, isn't it? They just see, okay, they actually have caught up.
This is it.
Quite close here.
Yeah, it's like that. Yeah, it's exactly what you said pretty much. When it hits those double digits, you start worrying and you think, oh, why didn't we just take it a bit more seriously when it was 15-3 at the time? But, you know what, it's still way too early to tell. You know, could Winning Rain just be delaying the inevitable, or Endpoint finally actually get to close this out? But you never know. Like I said, I've cast some strange games with you in the past. So if they did this, then it will continue to streak, wouldn't it, pretty much?
89 damage. That's a strong one. Better than the previous one that was thrown top mid. But it's such a slow round by the Wind and Rain guys. And very well played. I mean, Laz has been naded again. So he has been finished off by the grenades. Not seen a single enemy, but seen 2 grenades. Quite unfortunate. Oh,
he gave no info at all, and he just got taken out anyway.
They naded me again.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, they're obviously psychic in some way. They obviously know exactly what I'm thinking, reading, probably telepathic, but still got early days yet. If Max gets his kill and maybe a second going through that connector, then he might be okay. Yeah, it will be scrappy. And if they have their backs turned, but Max finally gets another one on the board, this could be another big play, but Max is just being the right pain at the moment, being the right thorn. And back of the foot, but it seems like now.
To go to B.
Yeah.
There was no need for that peek from Thomas there. 15 seconds, he could have let Max make the play, but instead, he's now made it very possible for them to get that plant, and Hector's gets the kill. I mean, I feel like that round should have been a win for Endpoint, if I'm honest, even though it was such a bizarre situation to say 3v4 or whatever it was coming up connector, that they should win the round. But, alas, they didn't make that round close, but close isn't anything right now when, if they win the round, the map is over anyway. Like, it doesn't matter about their economy. However many you take off them, it won't matter. Yeah, all that matters is the round.
So I was going to say there, yeah, like Max had the patience of a saint there on that jungle side. He obviously, I think he did the most amount of damage he could have done. Maybe get one more, but to be fair, with a pistol and maybe just Kevlar, there's only so much you can do in that kind of circumstances. And he played it really well. Like we saw Link with that CT side on jungle. He didn't really do too much when he had 2 members of Endpoint come out of connector every time, but Max, quite experienced lad, managed to take him down anyway. Thomas does get that first pick on Jenko anyway, so this could be the start of hopefully finishing up this map. But Thomas and Max are a little bit weak, but I'm sure that won't throw him off at all anyway. As you can see, there might be, for Wind and Rain, making that rotate to see if they can find any more info to find out exactly what's going on that A side and maybe get that mid control to go further from there.
Yeah, so getting that first kill was superb for Thomas. And staying alive, obviously, is a big thing. But the bigger part, unfortunately, doesn't quite have the angle down to the exact bit where he can't be seen. Unfortunately, obviously the POV is slightly lower on the head, and you see that little tiny bit of helmet, and he gets 1 ball.
Sadly for him, that could definitely turn things around, getting closer and closer to those double digits. Hector's now... I
was about to say, Max's position, he's being a bit wild, if I'm honest.
Yeah, well, it's like I said before, isn't it? I suppose when you've got 15 rounds of CT and you've only got 1 round remaining, you can kind of get away with doing these really weird plays, but it seems like it was slightly in his favour.
Yeah, thankfully, Pulse, being an experienced player, he knows he can just try and play retake on this site. He knows the time is ticking. It's only 10 seconds. The bomb is down, and the plant, he has to go for that plant there. This is probably game over. Robin with a team kill.
He's trying to give Wind and Rain a chance, isn't he? He's just trying to help him out a little bit. Maybe say to him, right, you know what, we know the score's a bit huge and a bit more big than we expected. But in all fairness, Wind and Rain had a great little comeback for those last 5 rounds. But I think it was just delaying inevitable, and Endpoint managed to take that 16-8. All right, Jackie.
Wow. Yeah, I'm back in. A bit of an Endpoint victory there. Obviously, it looked like it was going to be a clean 16-8. Just smashed their way through them. But obviously, they thought they'd draw it out a little bit longer than the other game we had. So just give us a little bit more meat to try and dissect, but not really too much. It was pretty much just an Endpoint whitewash for the most part. Then they tried to play a little bit more loose, I'd say, and that was kind of the end of the story, really, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was a lot of Endpoint just kind of controlling the tempo, controlling the map, I suppose is another way of looking at it as well. And then from there, the Wind and Rain guys, they were trying to get a footing into the entire game, really. They're not, the chemistry isn't quite there yet, but thankfully those T rounds at the end, that'll probably be a big factor just going to the second map. The fact that they got a footing in, they're like, okay, we're warmed up a bit now. Let's hope the second map goes a bit better.
Yeah. And obviously back on the point of antigrams, maybe Endpoint are the earliest and Wind and Rain are a rise late.
Oh.
There you go. So there will be a late riser.